DC's #1 recording studio.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to the Swerv Show.
Hey.
Wow.
We are here in the nation's capital.
That's
it is the 27th of June, which is National HIV Testing Awareness Day.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
So I hope everyone got tested and all those things. We got a packed house today. Look at it. We got multiple screens, and we got a beautiful lady in the house. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I want to welcome.
Oh, okay.
Of course,
That's right.
of course. Our regulars. We've got the legendary Tony Nelson here.
Hello, everyone.
And it's fabulous. What color green is this?
I'm going to say it's sage, but someone said it was mint, but I don't see mint.
I like
see mint.
sage.
It's sage, right?
Is that
I do
sage?
too.
That spirit.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
I hope it's my size.
We don't have to light
It's
anything.
your
in
size,
here.
yes.
You are the same.
Tony and I
Thank
need to
you.
be wearing the same size. And then we've got the legendary, iconic Racine Pendarvis.
Yes.
But yes.
The one and only.
Oh, thank you, my beloved.
My darling.
Wearing the Erica Badu
Yes,
t-shirt.
the Black Music Month. I
Yep.
wore it for Yazra too because I don't have a shirt with her
Me
on
too.
it.
You didn't comment
But-
on my
Thank
Shaka
you, baby.
purple.
But I wore this.
Well, we have to change that. I'm gonna have to get you a shirt with me.
Yes, we all need shirts.
We got to take.
Yes,
We do.
indeed.
We need shirts with that beautiful face on it. And then we've got Yorde Noir, who is our editor at large,
some
Hey.
folks, how you doing?
and our special guest, y'all, is the one and only Yazara.
Hey,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yes.
And you know, we're celebrating June as Black Music Month.
Yes, it is Black Music
that's
Month, and my
why-
birthday was Sunday, so I
Yes,
think
it was.
I was privileged. It was my
Happy
40th
birthday.
birthday.
Baby, she big on 4. Oh, come on up in there. Hey.
Life
Don't crack, baby.
Life don't start until.
Yes, I mean that for real.
And hi to everybody in Facebook land.
Hello.
Well, we got a full
Facebook.
show,
What's
so let's
going on
keep it moving,
Instagram?
y'all.
And if you are watching
Real.
on Facebook, please
Teresa.
like
Like
and
us,
share,
share,
like
that's right.
and
You
You
share.
heard him.
That's right. Like and
We
share.
love you. Like and share.
So we want to kick off our show
Yeah, man,
by
yeah.
letting everyone. Of course, this is our last
right.
week in celebrating Black
Yay,
Music Month,
Applejack.
and something just happened connected with Black Music Month. We lost Joe Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yes.
So
That happened
I
today.
think, do we have an image of
Well,
Mr.
I didn't
Jackson?
even
Yes,
know.
yes. That's fine. That's fine. He passed, and we send our thoughts and our prayers out to and condolences out to the Jackson family. I mean, Joe. It was really Joe's vision behind the growth of that
It
family.
was. I mean,
He gave us the Jacksons.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
He
I
did.
mean, it's
Even though they had
it's-
their problems.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say the
What family doesn't have some
yeah,
problems?
you know what I mean. I
Right.
think the flip to I mean it's a challenge because we do know about the abuse, but at the end of the day, I mean, had he, as you said, if he was not the
It's
visionary,
his vision.
we would have never had Michael. We would have never had the Jackson 5. We would have never had Janet. You know what I mean? And so
Please don't forget Toya.
yes, Toya.
And Reed.
Don't forget Toya.
Marlon and Tina.
Marlon,
Yes.
Marlon,
God
don't forget
bless
And
Marlon.
Jermaine.
Honey, her Playboy
And
spread
Reba.
was legendary.
That was, I have that copy.
Centipede.
Yes.
Anyway.
And Centipede, which is my jam.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Michael is singing back on that. Listen to the background.
But what's the hit that
And he wrote
Latoya
that.
had? She had a house like a club
Oh,
hit.
hot potato.
Hot
potato.
Drop
yes.
it like a hot
Yeah,
potato.
that's
Don't
right.
come for me.
I'm going to have
With
to
a
look that
doorknob
up.
hit you
Somebody
with a good
please send that to
thought
me
snitch.
in my inbox.
Get out of my life.
Which I
Remix
thought was hot. But
everything.
anyway, we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep
And
moving.
Going to Get You Rocked. That was produced by
Gonna Get
Full
You Rocked?
Force.
So there's a. Can you turn your sound up?
See Racine.
I want to make sure as we close out this month, I want to make sure that we recognize a great musician, composer, the legendary Billy Strayhorn, who was openly gay.
Yes.
He's most famous for Lush Life.
Yes.
He's a Pittsburgh native, and he really was he partnered with Duke Ellington to really create and conduct. I mean, it created a great deal of body of music, which he never got.
And Lush Life
Got
is such a
full-
beautiful.
He never got full credit for his
He
work.
never did.
Oh, right. Yo, the
Well, I
A-Train.
mean,
So-
that's not an old story.
Right,
Like
the
you've been
story-
initiated if that's happened
Right.
to you.
Right, but the story behind
Yeah.
the A-Train, I don't know if you know, the story I've heard is that, the directions that Duke Ellington gave him to get to the gig in New York, he was coming from Pittsburgh. He said, when you get to New York, take this train, that train, and this train, take the A-Train. He wrote a song out of it, and
Wow.
that
That's
is
awesome.
how we got the A-Train.
And Lush
Anyway.
Life, he wrote when he was a teenager.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And Lena Horne spent the last several years of her life championing him because she felt like he didn't get any
was
credit
underrated.
for like the credit. And
Right.
a lot of the songs that he got a little bit of credit, she said that he did all the work for.
Sure. I mean, it was a partnership. Duke Ellington was already famous when
had
he
the bigger
started
name.
with him,
Yeah.
but
He was smart. He
still
was a
was
businessman.
responsible for a good body of that work. And there's two great books out about Billy Strayhorn. There's one, his biography, and then there's a pictorial that has comments from everyone from Lena Horne to Nancy Wilson and Ramsey Lewis. I have it. We actually did something on it years ago. It came out years ago. It's a great pictorial book.
And there's a
So you should get it.
I'll be coming over to your house to
There's
look
a
at that.
wonderful. There's a wonderful
Exactly. Only
documentary
if I
on
get to
him
go
that
first.
ran on PBS.
On
Right.
PBS?
There's
Uh-huh.
PBS does have
PBS.
a documentary on him, right? So we want to acknowledge Billy Strayhorn on this
Yes.
day.
And to everyone, Suge, Shane, and another incredible
I
artist,
used to
Sims of
visit all the
Love.
very gay places.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right,
Those
right.
come what may places.
We got a singer now,
where
Sean.
one relaxes on the axis of the wheel of life.
See? See?
To get the feel of life from jazz and cocktails. Oh, that song.
Oh, come on
Yes.
now.
All right now.
I'm with it. I'm
That's
here
a
for
musician.
That. All right, y'all.
That's-
Thank you, Yazra.
Okay, then, that's
She
the-
replacing y'all.
Oh, we got it. Julian Jackson has tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. Tamisha Iman, you know we love you from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, Tamisha.
My cousin
Tamisha.
Anthony is on the line.
Hey.
We have JJ Tate on the line. William Ridley. Oh, Randolph. I'm sorry. Teresa Beavers Jackson. My mother is online.
Mom.
We thank you
Hey,
all
Mama.
for showing up. Please like and share. Please
All
like
right.
and share.
And Tamisha, if you pick out any more songs from our show, we want 35%. I want you to know that.
Yes, indeed.
We
Run,
want
me my,
30%.
run him his money. Run him his money.
So, in celebration of this month, we've asked everyone to identify some of their favorite albums.
That's right.
And so we're continuing that. And so one of my favorites, and everyone's favorite, I mean, you can't mention great black music without talking about Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. I mean,
Masterpiece.
Come on,
It's-
y'all.
it is a masterpiece.
Join
It
Us
is
Up
a
My
masterpiece.
Tears is my favorite song on Songs in the Key.
It's got so many.
this had everything
Yeah,
from
yeah, it's
funk to,
Everything.
I mean,
Everything.
But look who was all singing on background. Denise Williams, Minnie
Yes.
Rippleton, all of those amazing.
Serena Wright.
Herbie
Serena
Hancock's
Wright.
on this
All,
project.
I mean,
Yes.
Wonder Love.
yes. Well, did you catch the tour he did where he did that album in sequence? He did stadium tour.
Yes,
I think 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
indeed. I didn't get. I wish I had.
And people
a
were like,
chance to
why is
see
he
them.
doing this song? I was like, fool, it's the sequence of the album. You don't have this album.
Yeah, yeah.
Honey, you have some A-side listeners, baby.
I know.
You know.
But anyway,
Baby.
another
That being
one,
said.
another great album, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book.
Right.
Love
That's
Talking
my
Book.
favorite CD.
Did you
Tony
pick that?
said.
That was
What-
I picked that
what's-
CD.
What's on this one?
That
Looking for
CD,
another pure
that
love.
CD has my very favorite song of all time. People say, "What?" And that's "You Are the Sunshine of My Life." I love that
Oh,
song.
of course.
It's a
That's a
deceptively
classic.
simple song, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just beautiful. So that CD always goes down as my champion CD.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, if I had to pick a Stevie Wonder song, mine will be "I Never Dreamed You Leaving." Song.
That's
Oh, yes.
That song makes me cry.
He's got
every
so
Every
much music.
time.
He does.
Every time.
That's one who,
Send
when
One
I
Your
hear,
Love.
I
I
just,
love that.
I weep.
I mean, there's so much music.
I
It's hard
weep.
to have a favorite, but you know, a really obscure Stevie record that people don't talk about enough is The Secret Life of Plants.
It's come on now.
girl.
I went
Amazing
to see that
record.
movie just to listen to.
Are you
the sc-
serious?
Just to listen to the score.
That
'Cause
soundtrack
it was
is
you know, no
everything.
Yeah.
actors or anything. It was just flowers,
Black
blooming,
Orchid,
blossoming.
all those beautiful tunes.
Yeah, Black
Come Back as
Orchid
a
was
Flower,
great.
which I
I'm
covered on the
listen-
Ballad
I'm
of
gonna
Purple
listen to
St.
that on the way
James.
home.
Yes, you did.
I did cover it.
Yes.
Co-written by Sarita Wright.
She co-wrote
Yes,
that?
yes.
Sharita was his wife, the
Yes,
mother
indeed.
of Aisha.
Right.
No,
Aisha?
I don't. No, she wasn't Aisha's mother.
not Aisha?
She was his first wife.
She
but
was his first wife.
Yes,
But she looks so
Aisha's-
much
Yes,
like
honey.
Sarita.
Aisha came after.
Yeah.
Oh.
Aisha's mother came
I'm
after.
sorry, she looks so much like
He's been married
Sarita.
several times.
Yes, indeed.
Several.
His heart is open.
It's
That's for
very
sure.
open.
Stevie loves the ladies.
He can see
y'all.
one thing.
All right, we got two more.
That was.
And the other we had Tamia's.
Okay, so I decided to bring something current. 'cause I
those
know-
aren't current.
No, because those are legendary,
70s.
iconic. Right. So I chose Tamia's Best Friends. This album to me was the pinnacle when I think that people really start to take a notice of her, because this is when she stepped out on her own and she followed her own voice.
Okay.
So a lot of the writing on that album is absolutely phenomenal.
I have to check that out. I don't
The
I'm
whole
not familiar
entire-
with that
what's
album.
the
beginning
main
to-
song on that?
Is Stranger in My House on this album?
No, Stranger in My House was the album before that.
Oh, I love that.
This is the one with It's Me.
It's
Me.
no. What's this?
Baby, I don't.
She has a lovely voice.
Oh,
no
she's
doubt.
got a
It-
beautiful
Have you ever
voice.
seen her live? I've seen her 3 times.
I've seen her.
She was phenomenal.
The tone of her voice is really comes
I love
through
her
live.
voice.
This album slayed me. Like, it's one of those albums you can listen, you just put it on and just.
I'm gonna listen to that on the way home.
So we had to go for
And
that
it,
one.
You can download it.
Listen to
it
that.
chronicles like a love relationship. Like,
Okay.
All right. So
Love Shebang.
we've
It's
got
sick.
another
I love
Billie
it.
Holiday, Lady in Set.
This is my choice.
And I have that in vinyl.
This is
I
my
have it in
choice.
vinyl too.
Because I am a Billie Holiday. When I was young, I used to listen to her on 78s, and Billie Holiday.
Ooh, not 78s.
78s, and Billie Holiday just. It's I knew I was gay
Oh, okay.
instantly, because I guess her voice was so haunting.
And you had
Wasn't
that.
that with the orchestra? Wasn't
Yes,
that with the orchestra?
that's like her last CD too. That's
Oh,
when her
okay.
voice was like really in the cracks of the floor. Right, I would just get about it. Was
It's the perfect way to
The
describe
cracks
it.
of the floor.
the cracks of the floor. But that was they called them her autumn years. But those were my favorite recordings by her.
it was over.
You can feel
Have
the
you-
pain.
That CD has At the End of a Love Affair.
Oh,
Come on, I know this. Oh, I know this.
Yes.
See, I
Say
know,
no
I
more.
know that. I
You
know
changed
that.
is the one I-
It
you
has-
changed
It
that
has so
version.
much on it, but it has orchestration, and they said they had to prop her up and push her, and but she.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
literally, she
It took a
was
lot to
at-
get it out of her.
Yeah, and literally, what I loved about just period, but what was so sad, but how they would have to prop her up and put her on a stool, and she was so bad off. They just said, let her hold the mic and just
Let her
sing.
do her thing.
And
Well, that's what happens. I mean, and if you're an artist, you kind of outlast your shell, but you still got your talent and your voice.
But that her artistry was still phenomenal. It's almost like Whitney Houston. People were saying like Whitney Houston wasn't great at the end. I thought I liked her just as much, maybe more, because you could hear something. You could hear her through it. You know, she adjusted her instrument to what she could do at that point.
To me, that was the amazing thing about her
Right.
career. Like, even if you would listen, like when the drug addiction took over and there was this transition, like before the end, like somewhere in the middle. One thing I loved about Whitney is Whitney would run the scale. She would run up, and she knew I can't hit that. I'm gonna tap it and run it all the way
Like,
down.
come on
she,
back down.
yes,
She knew
indeed.
her
She had
voice.
control.
Yes.
She had control,
She
and I loved her
saw
voice for
her
that.
voice as an instrument, and she knew it.
she did
and
the
I-
infamous
And I once heard Shirley Horn say-
Roz White just tuned in and she said,
Oh, yes.
prop
Hey,
me up, honey.
Roz.
Hey,
She said,
Roz.
"Prop me up, honey."
Hey, Roz.
I just met Roz the other day.
We met Roz at the
Honey,
Kennedy Center.
she is a giant.
Yeah, she's coming.
She's a
She's coming to
giant.
visit
She's
us.
coming.
Okay, good.
And she'll be on the Ass
Yeah,
Racine
and
show
she's gonna
soon.
give you
We
life.
love
She's
you, Roz.
amazing.
Can't wait to
in
have
every
Roz
way.
here.
Every way.
We went to see.
Monet,
Love you,
we love
Roz.
you.
We went to see
Hey,
Gregory
Monet.
Porter at the Kennedy Center.
We
with the
went to see
orchestra,
Gregory Porter.
who was
Oh, my-
phenomenal.
Gregory Porter is everything,
love
We
people.
ran
Gregory
into
Porter.
Roz. We ran into Roz. But anyway, we got to keep it moving. We got to keep it
I love
moving.
his Be Good. Okay, anyways.
So now we got some news items we want to touch on. You know, the country is really under, I don't know, we're
Siege.
under transition, maybe.
Siege.
So the progressive, there was an election, there were primaries held around the country yesterday, and some progressive candidates won. There were some minor upsets. One in particular was Ben Jealous, who won the
Yes.
primary for Maryland governor.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, what do y'all think about that?
Well, we just had him at our home on Sunday. Actually, He came. He spoke to some of our neighbors.
Wow.
He really is an advocate for the things that we believe are important here. Jobs for folks, specifically school improvement.
Right.
The speed of gentrification, also including the people who are a part of a specific community. Not just
Baltimore,
not coming.
right? You
Yes,
were in
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah, and I just moved to Baltimore. I'm really excited about becoming a part of that community, and he had things to say that were very compelling to me. Wow. And I think
was
that people are ready for a
stunned, though.
change.
I really thought when I initially heard he was going to run, I was like, you're a former NAACP leader. You've never governed anything.
Yeah, but
and
he knows his
Rashawn Baker,
people.
so I'm open to him. I think it's going to be hard to beat Larry Hogan.
I think so.
Well, if we
But-
vote,
But you're right.
If we
You're right.
vote.
I think when
Turnout.
people are in the midst of wanting change, and I think sometimes people are tired of certain people in positions that they have given so much to, and there's been no change.
I think people are in the midst of wanting change, but I think the way it's looking right now, more people on that other side want it more. or
Yes,
You
and the
know,
change that they want is
you
putting
mean
you
on the
underneath
right
the
side, they
plantation.
wanna-
yeah. All those people in the the Trump supporters, I think, and because it seems that nothing this man does, and he's so brilliant at branding other people with what he does. Nothing he does sticks to him. He somehow he has managed to turn this whole child separation thing on Maxine Waters and the Democrats, and they now have this new thing that they're labeling Democrats as unhinged because they're overreacting, and it's working.
Yeah,
It's
and,
working.
but I don't think
Yes
I don't
and
think
no.
I don't
Yes
think
and
they
no.
should
I think
people are-
overreact.
yeah.
Maxine Waters is a legend.
I don't
She's
think
an
she's
icon.
overreacting.
Well, they're
And I
using
think the
it.
American people are smart enough to know when they're being fleeced. I think that's just BS.
Some are,
Genuinely.
some are.
So many more than what are
Yeah.
being forked. It's just like we don't get the news in the way that news is actually happening here,
Right.
period. So we don't really know who's pissed about what. What we need to do is mobilize, make each other understand. Those who don't understand, make them understand the importance of actually showing up and being counted this
Amen.
time around. That's it.
That's why voting matters. Voting
Yes.
matters.
Voting,
Stir
but
up
here,
the
but
apathetics.
here in a nutshell, which breaks my heart, voting in the District of Columbia was down. Was down this
I
year.
can't
Well, all the
believe that.
primaries were
That's
down.
They
All
were
the
amazing.
primaries were down.
But it really speaks to the volume of where we are when here 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is a travesty. But yet people don't see it enough time to take enough time out of their life to go and vote. It says something. It speaks to where we are. It's like, where is your mindset if you are not getting out and voting? I made
Washington
time.
Well,
used to be
voter
active
suppression.
voters.
Voter suppression is
It's real.
Is that happening
effective.
here like this now?
No, not here. I mean,
But
Yeah,
it
but-
really,
but around the country,
in a way, it is kind of happening here because DC's vote really is not a national vote. I mean,
Yeah, but we're
Yes,
supposed to,
but
we're a
it
city
means
who's
it has
always been
power.
active.
It has power.
Yeah, I mean, as a child, I'm sorry to
no,
interrupt
go
you.
ahead. It's
all right.
As a child, I remember it being a very big deal for my family to leave the house that day. And I was
Right.
raised in a household where 4 generations of women, great grandma, mama, grandma, all piled into the car and proudly drove over to their neighborhood gymnasium and voted. And I can have memories of this as young as 2 years old. And other little children, everybody's parents, whether they were blue collar workers, lawyers, or doctors, showed up and got their behinds counted. And it was in vogue to make sure you showed up. People tailgated.
Right, right.
And that's what we have to do. We
And
need to
held
make
each
it
other
cool
accountable
again.
for did you
Accountable
vote?
and make it cool
let me
again. We
tell
need
you,
to bring
on my
community
block,
into the voting
we
experience.
carpool to the
Mm-hmm.
voting. I call Miss
Knock on
Pat, you
everybody's
coming?
door.
Miss Pat, you coming? Miss Arlene, you coming? Miss Mary, you coming? We carpool.
Miss Arlene, let's have cocktails before we go vote.
Yes, come
We
on.
can toddle our drunk
Just
ass
make
you
sure
can
over
be
there
of
and get
clear
counted.
mind.
Just make sure you can focus on the right.
Yes,
person.
indeed.
the right button.
Or stop paying Popeyes or
Yes,
KFC.
honey.
That's what we
There's a
do.
mint julep in it for you, honey.
And folks, if you don't think voting has consequences, item number 2 spells that out because now Justice Kennedy is resigning, which means that the person that is in the White House that was elected now gets to pick
Gets to
another
pick.
Supreme
So now
Court
he gets
justice.
Another
second
Supreme Court
appointment. Oh, my
justice.
God.
And please do not get it twisted. I was at the Kennedy Center a couple of weeks ago, and I saw Ginsburg. She doesn't have long to be.
No,
on
but
that
she said
bench
she's going to
either.
stay until she can. But
But
she's on her last.
she doesn't
few
have
legs.
long to be on that bench
That's
either.
right. You're right.
So this man potentially has another person to.
And,
God,
and
what
Justice
is
Thomas
that
has been
about?
talking about retiring also
Clarence
for the
Thomas.
last 2 years.
Y'all better
he's
show up
talking
at
about it.
midterms. That's all I know. Just show up at midterms.
Please.
Well, they're
Anyway,
saying
that's it.
I was reading this article that was saying that Kennedy's retirement could actually help the Republicans.
Oh
Because
yeah, because
I'm not
he's a
shocked by
swing
that.
voter. But if he selects a very conservative,
and people are
person
going
that
to get
gets
out.
through-
Republicans, this is going to energize them to get out because they want to make sure.
Then it needs to energize us to get out and vote.
Exactly.
This is a vote. This is a voting issue for them.
Like what they're doing with separating these children from their parents.
terrible.
What they're doing with making sure Sesams just wanted to pass some sort of initiative to make sure they could
Sessions is a
strip
hot
people
mess.
of their businesses, of their real estate, of their savings, even if they don't have reasonable cause yet.
Right, right.
So they could come and take, pardon me, they could come and take your shit and say, well, we just think you might be a terrorist.
But they won't go after the corporations that are responsible for bringing immigrants over to work,
Of
because that
course.
gets into the business community.
But if those same businesses start to speak out against this with Sesam's new addition to things, they could strip them of their businesses, and then maybe they can take all our kids. So it's important for us to just mobilize and get our asses to the polls.
I know.
Like all
Can
of
we
this.
talk about impeachment?
Then,
That
then you
means
get
we
the
gotta,
vice
then we got to
president.
deal with his
You don't
VP.
want that. You want
it's
them
just,
all
it's
gone.
crazy.
So we
I'm
gotta,
Thank you,
Losing
Tammy PA, for tuning in.
we got to move on, y'all.
Well,
We got a
baby,
couple of.
all I know is God
Do we
will
have something?
tear that kingdom down.
Oh,
Yes, indeed.
That's all I know, baby.
Well,
God
see,
has
you
done
better-
it in the past.
Well, we need him
Do
coming
it in
soon.
the
We need him
future.
coming
Yes,
soon. All right,
indeed.
we got a few quick more items I want to cover in our What's Hot section.
It was like, wrap it up, you guys. Let's go somewhere.
We've got two folks in our community, two very progressive voices in our community that are going to be on The Daily Show this week. Janet Mock is on this evening.
Hey, Jan.
And Darnell Moore, who is our cover feature, has a great book out called Ashes in the Fire. Not No Ashes, it's
And
Ashes in the
everybody is
Fire.
talking about
Right, and he's our cover story. It's a great interview with Kevin Taylor. I can't wait for you folks to read it. But anyway, he's going to be on tomorrow night. So shout out to those two.
Daily
Delmore,
Show
if
with
you're
Trevor Noah.
watching, I just want to let you know that you're absolutely amazingly beautiful.
He
Who?
knows that.
I endorse
Yeah,
this
I'm
message.
sure.
And he thanked you for that last time.
He looks.
Did he?
Yes.
He thanked
Hey,
you.
Daryl, how you doing?
Shoot your shots.
Darnell, how you doing?
And then I want to give a shout out to
You a big
Philip
guy.
Esteem for the Esteem Awards coming up in Chicago. Do you see that, Jacob? You see that one? Okay. The Esteem Awards coming up this Saturday in Chicago.
wow.
Come on, Chicago.
I saw that.
Shout
There's
out.
one other. I see Beyonce Keys is being honored. There's several people that have been honored. I think we
yes,
received
yes.
that honor years ago,
Yay.
but I didn't know about it. My former business partner went and accepted that award
Oh,
on
well,
our
bless
behalf.
God, amen.
But anyway, I want to shout out to the Esteem Awards anyway. And then we've got Lifelines coming up in
Yes.
D.C.
So today is
National?
Today is National Testing Day, and so Brave Soul Collective has decided to do their event tomorrow. It is seven artists, 6 writers, where we get together and tell the stories about warriors in the work and how it affects us. I will be on stage tomorrow as a part. Jacob, do you have the picture of the cast? It's the picture of all of us.
Did I? I don't think I gave him
gave it
that.
to him.
Oh, you did?
You have it?
Are you featured in that cast photo?
Yes, I am. Not that picture. Not that one. The other one.
But you look fabulous, though.
Oh,
Which
yes.
picture is that? Is that your other movie?
It's the one with the blue background with all the pictures of all the people. But anyway,
Well, while he's looking for that,
so anyway, tomorrow night. You can buy your tickets online. That's the
and
cast.
that's in D.C., right?
Yes, this will be
Oh,
here
Mickey,
in Washington, D.C.
Monty.
Mickey, yes. So it is the Brave Soul Collective. Monty is actually online. Monty, if you would
Your
please
picture
post the
looks
link.
fiercer than all the others.
Baby, I sit. That's what I do. Monty, thank you. Monty just posted the link. So
Hey,
if
Monty.
you're in
Love
DC
you,
and you want to purchase tickets, you can purchase tickets there. By the way, Monty told me to tell you hi. He doesn't know if you remember, but he bought you
He brought me that beautiful Minnie
Minnie
Riperton
Riperton
record.
album. Yes,
I would
And
never,
he told me
forever
to make
forget you,
sure
Monty.
That he told me to tell you hi.
Hi,
So-
Monty.
All right,
Can I
all right.
just say something?
Thank you so much for that.
Quickly,
record.
Can I
quickly.
just say a shout out to Janet Mock for episode 4? She produced that
Right.
for Pose.
Pose?
The
Pose.
Fever.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
If you have,
Oh, Pose is.
if you have not watched
has,
Pose,
anybody,
Yeah.
has everyone
My
been
mother
watching
told me it was
Pose?
amazing.
I've been watching it.
I
If
heard
you,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it is
baby,
amazing.
please go find it and watch it.
Because it needs more support.
needs- it
It's
needs
not
all the
doing as
support.
well as they had expected it would.
Well,
do.
they need to promote it a little
need to
differently.
promote it more, right.
But it is a great. It's a great body of work.
It
Well,
is.
Jasmine Blue sent me a message saying you must talk about Pose more on your show. I said,
Yes.
okay, we will.
Yeah,
So there we go.
Dominique is doing such a great job on that show. But anyway, we got to keep it moving. So y'all, we got a musical diva
focused,
in the
I
house.
Diva.
Yazara, DC native,
Yes.
but internationally acclaimed. I want to show one of your videos. This is one of your earlier videos for
Yes.
Cry Over Me.
Cry Over You.
Cry Over You. I'm sorry, I can
Yes.
put my glasses on. Cry Over You. And this has a whole DC vibe to
Yes.
it.
Yes.
The feature.
Yeah,
So
it
let's
was very
kick that, and then we're
important
going
to
to talk about Yazara for the next,
Bam.
the remainder of the show, y'all.
It goes.
Sitting on my lunch break waiting by the phone, yeah. But I never got a ring today. Didn't hear from you and you never answered my call, no. I guess it wasn't my turn to play. Got home and nursed my wounded pride, and I poured myself a taste. Gave my girl a call and said, baby, let's hit the town, yeah. I never let a Friday night go to waste. You're with another girl and I'm with my friends. Feels like I'm right back where I started again. Grown up and I'm not waiting. Got no more time for your lies in my eyes. They ain't gonna cry over you. Dressed and feeling sexy, lip gloss and red stiletto poses. I've got all attention, and baby, may I mention, I be putting it on 'em, and it's not the end of my world. I can't say I'm not disappointed. We really could've had a good time. The night is coming for the taking, and this girl's gonna be fine.
Never seen, never heard before. Never embraced a face like hers before. She said she ain't got a man and ain't got kids, but she got a situation like Jersey Shore. No strings preferred, of course. Said, baby, you're such a gentleman and your kindness is humbling. Cause all she needed was a night getting over him. So next morning she was waking up under me.
You're with another girl and I'm with my friends. Feels like I'm right back where I started again. Grown up and I'm not waiting. Got no more time for your lies in my eyes. They ain't gonna cry over you. You're with another girl and I'm with my friends. Feels like I'm right back where I started again. Grown up and I'm not waiting. Got no more time for your lies in my eyes. They ain't gonna cry over you.
That was a good throwback.
Oh, that was amazing.
So we got the beautiful ladies
2010.
in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. You know you guys are my family.
Oh, yeah, we definitely family. We
So
definitely
Tanisha
family.
Iman, who is from Atlanta, Georgia, she's a female impersonator. She said, "Don't be mad, y'all already know."
Oh,
that
honey,
means she'll be
please.
performing your songs in Atlanta.
I can't wait. Just send me some footage, okay, boo? That's all I
Right, we
want.
want
Send me some footage.
So, Yazara, tell us, I always like to know, how did you find music? When did music find you? How did you get started?
I think music definitely found me. You know, I started singing before I could speak. At least by my mother's accounts, I was a singing child in the crib. Wow. When I was 7 years old, I started to sing in church. You know, I mean, my story is the part of the usual Black experience. I started singing in church, but I was also a really small kid. So, you know, it was very early on that I had this extremely adult and very mature voice. You know, I was singing, you know, songs by Denise Williams, you know, from the pulpit when she was singing, you know, progressive gospel music. And I was so short that the pastor had to just lift me up sometimes so that the church could see me sing. And they thought that I was in a tots choir for years. I was wearing a size 6X till I was about 10 years old, y'all. I was tiny. So, you know, when you have something that's coming out of you that is clearly otherworldly and has a healing frequency, and you're as small as I am, you know that you're just a part of things. I'm simply a contract worker. you know, being used to do something effective. And I enjoy it. Like, you know, when I left and I did my first gig at the Kennedy Center at 10 years old in the opera hall on stage, my first accompaniment with a, you know, pianist telling them what I want and what I don't want, and using dynamics. I sung Somewhere Out There from American Tail.
Oh, wow.
And I won. I ended up winning a trophy 2 sizes larger than myself. I could barely carry it off the stage. But, you know, to get a standing ovation at the Kennedy Center when you're 10 years old, then I was like, I think I like how this makes me feel. And, you know, also growing up in D.C. where we know that there was a very significant caste system, you know, of real old school colorism. For me, when I would sing, people would listen. They would actually see me, you know, in a city where they were told to look past me. They saw something beautiful in me, you know, and so I would sing for the recognition, the acknowledgement, and for the boost to my self-esteem, or to protect myself from people who might otherwise pound my face in for being too articulate. And I lived 4 years in Germany, and so I came here, you know, with this real attention to detail, having listened to music in the pop era, you know, and speaking like I do.
Yes, code switch.
Speaking like I do.
The code switcher.
And yes, and being mistreated for it. But when I would sing, people would see me. Wow. Maybe even see the beauty in me. Boys I might see the beauty in me. But as I've gotten older, I've also realized that it heals me to watch other people being healed with the gift. Even if that just means they grab somebody by the lower level and they hold them a little tighter and they squeeze them, or they tell somebody they love them, or call somebody and forgive them, wherever the music takes me, you know. So that's what makes me sing. Wow. That's what got me into music, and that's what keeps me. I'm in tune, and I'm finally able to admit that I am great at it.
Yes.
Yes.
That is my ministry.
You are definitely great at it.
you know?
I do want to say this. So, Yazra, are you ready? I need you to look directly forward. Jacob, please drop this picture, please.
You remember this? You found it. Why was I looking for this picture?
Were you?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so
Yo, they went to school together, y'all.
We went to high
me
school
and
together.
Yazra graduated from Duke Ellington School of the Arts here in Washington, D.C. And in high school, I was a literary media artist.
You gotta give me a copy of that.
I have it in my book bag. Yes, I did. I brought it so you can see it.
Wow, and you kept that.
I took this picture. Yazra was my subject in my photography class. And I took this picture on the gate that enters into Duke Ellington. That's Duke Ellington behind us with the big green chair. And I told Yazra in our senior year in high school,
that gate.
I said, I need you to autograph this picture, because if you don't make it, it's something wrong with the industry and not you, because your talent is so huge. And so I still have that picture. And I just wanted to shock you with it. Like, bam, there you go.
You really made my day with that. Like, you really made, I literally was just thinking about that picture a few weeks ago, having a long conversation about, like, you and your various talents and that picture. And I didn't even realize, I didn't even remember signing that. But I do remember you telling me that. Yeah. And I feel very fortunate to be living out the true meaning of my purpose in this world.
So tell us about this career. I mean, for those that don't know, and we probably don't know the vastness of it. You know, we know some of your solo, we know the background stuff you're doing, but there's so much stuff that you do.
Well, I've never been really good at talking about myself. I love music, and I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with really masterful people singing it. I sung background for Erykah Badu for 7 years. I also arranged along with Ndabi Gilbert and China Black and some others on some projects for her. If you like Bag Lady, Didn't You Know, Penitentiary Philosophy, In Love With You.
Were you in that video?
And the Bag Lady
video?
Yes, she's the yellow.
She's in the Bag Lady video. She's yellow.
Yes. Heart and Soul, I was the nickel bag lady at that Heart and Soul.
She's yellow and Bag Lady.
She's yellow and Bag Lady.
Gotcha.
Yes. Nickel bag on your back, all that.
Yes.
To back the lady.
And so tell us what you're doing now. Let's go there.
Most recently, I spent the last 4 years what I believe I called affectionately Cap Kravitz. I sung background for Lenny Kravitz. On the road.
Was fun.
For 4 years, definitely I was included in his documentary along with some amazing, tremendous talent. Our bass player was a former bass player for David Bowie. There was just nothing but masters on stage with me. Cindy Blackman on drums.
Cindy's
she's a fairy, and I really just enjoyed and was honored to kind of play alongside these people, and specifically her. I have great love for her. She's the only other lady I knew on tour who was carrying crystals. Hippie love. Shouts out to my sister. And it was a wonderful opportunity for me to see that many of the things I'd been carrying in practice as an artist were right for me. I love to rehearse. Not everybody loves to rehearse.
Right.
You know, and you can see that I love to rehearse even in the way that it's reflected in shows. You know, I work hard because I came from this tradition of art at Duke Ellington that made me want to be great. And, you know, because of that, I've performed in London. I've sold out shows in London. I've performed at the Roxy. I've, you know, performed alongside some of our greatest and finest performers. And it's a blessing. I just performed with the Roots live during the Grammy Jam in New York. My own song, Running, that was just featured in Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have
And
It.
I think we've got a video of you doing that acoustically.
Yes, indeed.
Later. We're gonna show
Yes,
that before we
indeed.
leave.
For sure, I would love that. And that was surreal because, you know, when you put a list out in front of yourself, at least I like to make it plain and write it down. And one of my dreams was to perform in front of the Roots, to perform my own music with them. I've always been a fan of what they did in their art. And not only have I done it, I've done it 3 times, you know, and that is huge, you know. I've opened up for Earth, Wind, and Fire. I've, you know, opened up for Shaka Khan.
That's my group.
I've been on stage.
Commented on my
Yes,
I
they did. That's
noticed
on
it.
bad.
You know
We
I
saw
noticed
it.
it. 'Cause you know how much I
Wait
live
a
for
minute, Shell.
Shaka.
Let me put it on.
We saw,
put it on.
and I even sung when you came in. Dude.
Yes,
I
indeed.
sung Any Love as soon as
I
she
have
walked
it in
into
purple
it.
Yes.
because in recognition of your affinity.
My
for
high
purple,
affection for
lavender.
Shaka.
That's right.
Yes.
And Purple.
And Purple. Prince.
See, you batting 1,000.
Yes.
And Prince. Oh, the
So you got any
triune.
questions for the
Oh,
people
speaking,
here?
I do. I have a couple comments. If you have never seen you in concert, people should see you in concert. You don't know what you're missing.
Yes.
This
It's a full
powerhouse
experience.
in concert is like just see, it's like
I hope I'm doing this
hearing
right.
a lion roar out of a terrier, because such a small voice and this lion roar.
I love
is
that.
roaring. And to see your appreciation of when you do your Prince concert, first of all, it sells out
Purple
every
Rain,
time.
yo,
it
y'all
comes
got to
here.
see her.
And
we call it Purple Rain,
it
right?
sells out
Yes.
like
We-
it is.
Yeah, her tribute to Prince sold out like
It sells out every
Every
time.
time.
it
You
comes.
got to
did
see
it,
the
yeah.
tribute that Yasmin does.
Well,
to
I
Purple Rain.
retired the tribute.
Oh,
Last year was the
Why?
last year I did it. I liked giving him his flowers while he was still present. That was really important to me. And I never wanted to look like I was benefiting from this man's death. It's one thing to be inspired by his life. It's quite another when there are a lot of people out there singing his music who are inspired by his death to cash in on the fact that they can sing his songs now without so much pushback. I can hold great pride in saying that you can find me singing his songs all over the internet. Not many people got away with that. And I'm sure that he was aware. I know, in fact, that he was aware because many of his folks would come to my tribute and would tell me that he was aware of the work I was doing. And nobody ever snatched me down singing his songs.
You are amazing, and just oh God.
And I'm so grateful. Please don't snatch me down now. Please don't snatch me down. Thank you very much.
You are so. There is a group of photos that were from all of you amazing Duke Ellington alumni that float around, and there's a picture of you sitting up, this little young girl, looking, and it's amazing because I look in your class of all these amazing people, all of these amazing artists that are with you, who have all gone and soared to these amazing heights. And then there's another group of pictures of Duke Ellington's alumni in a master class with Denise Graves, with Silver Logan Sharp sitting in the class.
There's so many people
Terry
come from
Tony sitting in the
Duke
class. It's
Ellington.
so funny when I see all these alumni pictures of all these amazing Duke Ellington. I
owe that school my life. I really do owe that school my life. The day I showed up at Duke Ellington, I showed up at 6 o'clock a.m. No, 5:30 a.m.
You were excited?
I was
She was-
excited.
you were ready to go.
Is an understatement because I was a bullied child in D.C.
Yeah.
public schools by kids and adults. Okay, so
and adults.
kids and adults in D.C. bullied by children and adults, which is an interesting space to be in life. But I always had this thing, your heaven is gonna be someplace here on earth. And for me, it was Duke Ellington. I was highly articulate, extremely creative. If I had been high yellow, I'd have got my ass whooped. I was just different, okay? And I was brown at a time when we hadn't quite evolved yet past putting our hand in a brown paper bag. And so when I got to Ellington, this place where all this art was happening, where I knew I wasn't going to get beat up on, where I knew I could absolutely be different and be free, I stood on the steps 5:30 a.m. and I cried. And I'd already spent the year previous in 9th grade cutting school just to be there, and ended up auditioning for a production called Melindy, of which I beat out all of the present students who actually went to Duke Ellington for the lead of Melindy.
I know they were like, who is she?
They hated my ass
I bet they did.
before I was even a student.
Yes.
And then I ended up being in show choir and seeing the world, and the artist I am today is partly because of being in that. And there's so many students who are still there who have no idea how special
That place is.
that
Oh my
place is.
God.
It's a vortex. It is a whole other dimension where you're safe.
It
When I
is.
sing of Starship, Duke Ellington, it was my starship.
Yes. Wow.
Finally found a place where I won't be mistreated. That phrase is about that space and time where nothing mattered but me actually being authentically myself with other people who were trying to do the same.
And especially, I think one thing that a lot of people may not know is that you were raised as the only child.
Yes.
And so, and me being raised as the only child too, that's what you wind up when you're different and you're in a space like Ellington. Those people become like your family.
That you make them family.
They become
Plus,
Absolutely.
thanks to Peggy K. Fritz.
Peggy K. Fritz, God bless her. Ooh.
Created
She's in the building. She dropped the mic. She let you know she's looking
Drop the
down.
mic.
It created this universe, this environment.
Her and
that
Mike
could-
Malone.
Yes, God rest
cultivate-
both their souls.
Right.
Yes.
That could cultivate and nurture those talent, those gifts.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Definitely.
let's talk about after you left Ellington, because so much happened after Ellington. You wind up going to
North Carolina Central University.
Oh, I didn't know you went to Central.
Yes.
I did, but it was actually because of events that took place at Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
Oh.
My whole life, all of it cycles back around to
right.
Duke Ellington at all times, which is why it's such an important school. If you have children who have really amazing talent, go let them nurture it. Don't get mad and watch them do it while you discount it. Just support it. Make sure they stay academic. Leverage their ability to be able to do that upon what they give you with their grades, but don't let them not make their art. But anyway,
and Yazra is Grammy nominated.
yeah, I'm Grammy considered. I got
Grammy considered.
6
I never heard
categories,
that. I
however.
never
Six
heard
categories.
So
considered.
let me tell you, they have a preliminary ballot. So
Oh.
many everyday people who make really amazing music could possibly get a Grammy if they would join, and submit. Simple.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
Didn't know
I mean,
that.
you
Didn't
still have
know
to be
that.
excellent,
Right.
but you could be considered for a Grammy. You've seen quite a few independents recently, like winning because they've understood that if they join and they submit, they can win. So I submitted 8 tunes. I was considered on the ballot for 6 of them, including a video. And I believe I came extremely close to that. And every time I put out a project, I get closer and closer to my goals.
Wow.
So it was really impressive and amazing meeting people like Mavis Staples and running into music. And those are the people who listen to your music in these places where they were voting for who gets one. And they're saying, wow, we really loved your rendition of Come Back as a Flower. That song, Starship, like those were winners. Just so you know, you'll be back. So that's why I claim my Grammy considered. Because some people live their whole lives and won't even make it to a preliminary ballot, no matter how many times they submit.
Right.
And that art took me there, was amazing. But getting back to Duke Ellington and how I ended up at Central, I was in a group called Hidden Image, and I had left the Duke Ellington show choir due to some events involving my hair, me going natural.
Oh my God! You can't have natural hair. You
At the
couldn't-
time-
At Duke Ellington.
Well, I mean, at the time, there's some people who couldn't have natural hair in the workplace. So imagine, school, a controlled environment where people are telling you what business is and what culture is. Howard University for a while didn't let people sing gospel music. I mean, it's not
Can you
really
imagine?
shocking.
Can you imagine that?
And given where we were then, that it wasn't shocking. So I ended up in a situation where there's a law in the books that says you can't discriminate against a student because they choose to wear their hair naturally. That's all. But anyway, as a result, I left the situation I was in where I had to do that, and I ended up singing in the all-school choir at Duke Ellington. Wow. I ended up meeting these guys named In Time, writing some of my first songs with them. They were going to Howard University. One of them would later go on to MD for Erykah Badu, but that's a whole other part of the story. So I meet Hidden Image, and they're students in the instrumental department. Usually vocalists and instrumentalists never worked together. Neither the two shall meet. And that's still an issue, which is why, there's always this kind of haterade that happens when musicians and singers meet up. Even in jam sessions, they'll play your song too fast if you don't know your time. That Animal Kingdom thing. And we actually overcame the Animal Kingdom to become a band. And it was great because it was an outlet for me, because in the organization I was before, I had basically predicated all of my self-esteem upon being a part of this choir. Well, I hadn't even had a student recital the whole 4 years I had been there. Yeah. And I was a virtuoso singing classical music. Trust this. So it's one of my blessings. Yeah, it's one of my blessings. Go on YouTube. My senior recital is on there. It's a historical document. And I mean that.
How many languages do you sing in?
I sing in 3.
Thank you.
Yes, French, German, Italian.
I want to make sure we get time, because I want to show this video before we close. But tell us about what you're doing now, because you mentioned to us on the slide you got new music coming out.
So I heard that.
I do. There are a lot of projects I've been working on. The first one is The Ceremony, which I've been working on for the last 7 years since I moved to Brooklyn. And it kind of chronicles just some of the changes I've gone through. It's rocky music for everybody else who's been going through changes too. And I had a really great opportunity to work with a friend of mine I'd been meaning to take into the studio for some time, named Raymond Angry. And he and I did Running, which ended up on Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It.
And we're going to show that.
Yes.
So exciting. And we also worked on 4 other tunes, Beautiful Ashes,
I love Beautiful Ashes.
Thank you, which is my life story. So basically it's this rocky music. It's not incredibly preachy, but it's going to get you through, and I feel good about it. I also just worked on a remake of Anita Baker's Angel with Raheem DeVaughn and the Crank Crusaders, which will be out this summer. So I think that's going to be a summer
So when
anthem.
is your project coming out?
The fall. So look out for it. But I have, like I said, there's plenty of music coming towards you from me this fall. I'm also working in another project called MI7, which means My Infinite Heaven. And so you will see a lot of that in the fall.
Got a lot of stuff
but I just don't want to drop records into the pool and you guys don't know that they exist. So instead of just putting music out there, I want to give it the bed that it needs, so it has the platform and the rise that I want this time.
We're here to push anything.
Anything you do.
Definitely.
But so Jacob, can we kick this video? And this is Keep Running or
no,
Running?
Just running. And download it. It's already on iTunes,
and
Spotify.
This is the song that's on
Spike Lee. She's Gotta Have It.
Right. Episode 9.
Episode 8.
8.
Okay. Let's run that, and then we'll come back.
Awesome.
All right. First, before I get started, I just want to introduce all you wonderful people to my man Randy on guitar. He came through in the clutch, and I'm so glad that we're here together. So I'm going to dedicate this song. It just came to me while I was standing here. I'm going to dedicate it to the victims of the tragic Orlando massacre. I think it's an example of why we need to run, screaming into the arms of love and to one another. And I just want to encourage all of you, because I know a lot of these things have us running scared. But don't you run scared, don't you be afraid. Keep running faster towards the arms of the people that you love, towards the things you care about. I travel way too many miles to get here. You can't tell me who I am. Ooh, walk through the valley of the shadow to get here. And I made my way downtown so I could tell you where it's at. Oh, felt my share of pain. Seen a lot of thunder and rain. And I'm walking on top of a cloud called night, and I'm not trying to stop anytime soon. When you've been where I've been and you've seen what I've seen, a little heart, it don't mean a thing. You were built strong and tough because they knew it'd get rough. You were built a champion. Keep running, keep running, keep running, running faster. See, I'm just sitting here in my bed, thinking about the things that they said on the day that you left. Seems like everything got stuck but I'm fine. I'll concentrate on mine. That's all that I've got left. Yeah. Oh, felt my share of pain. Ooh, seen a lot of thunder and rain. Now I'm walking on top of a cloud called nine, and I'm not trying to stop anytime soon. Yeah. When you've been where I've been and you've seen what I've seen, a little heartache don't mean a thing. You were built strong and tough 'cause they knew it'd get rough. You were built a champion. Keep running, keep running, just keep running, running faster. When you've been where I've been and you've seen what I've seen, a little heartache don't mean a thing. You were built strong and tough 'cause they knew it'd get rough. You were built a champion. Keep running, keep running, just keep running. Where I've been and you've seen what I've seen, a little heartache don't mean a thing. You were built strong and tough 'cause they knew it'd get rough. You were built a champion. Keep running, keep running, keep running, running faster.
Yes.
Yes, y'all.
Thank you.
Yasu, did you write that song?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I did. I
That's
can't
amazing.
take complete credit. A dear friend of mine named Chocolate Moore was actually visiting me, and so Ray and I worked on this track all day, and he gave us 2 microphones, and all of a sudden she said, "I travel way too many miles to be here." And after that, I started singing, and everything that came after that was a freestyle, which was that tune. And after, of course, tweaking, this is what I got, which came through me. It's the first song I wrote when I moved
That's
to Brooklyn.
true artistry, y'all.
I do
Now you do all types of music, right? Like, I mean, you rock, R&B. Is there a particular genre that you?
Well, I think, I know. The whole time, when I made Hear Me and all those other records, I was doing what really everybody else was doing, and people weren't really listening to black girls singing rock. Tina did it. The music belongs to us, but we weren't doing it. And I was singing with Erica, so the producers I worked with, that's what they wanted to hear, more of that, more Jilly, more Erica. They wanted to make not a clone out of me, but a rendition of those things, because that's what we were listening to or what we were open to. But I always tried to sneak in some of that funk, some of that rock, some of that slide, some of that Tina, Johnny Guitar Watson, Stevie Nicks, Pat Benatar, those feelings, those are things that are inside me, and I think they're very soulful. So I've always been really more attracted to doing soulful rock music. So that's what this record is about.
Rock. Wow.
Soulful rock, house,
I like
I
that.
can't wait.
hip-hop.
I like
I
that.
really
wait.
want to say this. If anybody is in my absolute favorite song by you, I think you already know, is there's a song that Yazra has on the Ballads of Purple St. James. That album is called
You talking about Have a Heart?
Have a Heart. That is my favorite song. Please go find that, download it. The
indeed.
lyrics
Have
are
a Heart.
amazing.
Have
and
a
it's
Heart.
And it's
So-
written
so
by
folks,
Yazra.
Beautiful song.
We've run out of time. But anyway, we want to thank the lovely, talented Yazra, and she'll be back.
Thank you. I
When
will.
this
She'll
project
be back.
comes out,
I'll be back. Thanks for sticking with me, Instagram.
we're going to help push
So
this
glad. How you
project because I
doing?
can't wait. So anyway, I want to thank
Hey,
everyone for coming to
folks.
join
Thank
us.
you.
y'all.
And happy birthday.
Yes, thank
Today's your
you.
birthday.
Sunday was my birthday.
Happy
Yes.
birthday. We
birthday.
love cancer.
1978 was a very good year.
78.
Very
Ooh,
good
she a
year.
baby,
She
y'all.
just turned 40.
Yes, indeed.
But anyway, so we won't be here for the 4th. We'll run a recorded show.
Jacob,
we'll come
can you
back
post that flyer,
the following
please?
week on the 11th, and we've
Jacob,
got a great
can you post the
lineup.
flyer?
We've got a great lineup for August,
The flyer.
July. I'm sorry, Lord, look at me.
There we go.
Screw that. Okay.
For
Do I have
July, we've got
There we go.
we've got
Miss
some
Nightlife.
poets. We got Tona Brown. We got Joseph Williams. what's his tag?
The misunderstood,
The
social worker.
Social worker.
It is
Anyway,
absolutely amazing.
So anyway, folks, thank you, and join us next week. See you guys.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me, Instagram.
Listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Oh.